So, picture this. You found the absolute perfect flat in London, but your application is hanging by a thread on just one thing. A reference from a landlord you didn't, well, let's just say you didn't see eye to eye. Can they actually, legally, sink your chances? It's a question that keeps a lot of renters up at night.
Hello and welcome. This is a really common and, let's be honest, a pretty tricky topic. Today's discussion has been put together by the experts at My Tax Accountant. They specialize in all things property tax and finance, helping both landlords and tenants figure out these complicated rules. So let's break down everything you need to know. Okay, let's dive right in. First up, we're going to decode what a landlord reference can and, more importantly, can't say. Then we'll look at the legal tightrope landlords are walking. After that, we'll flip it around and see what you can do if you get a bad reference. We'll also cover best practices for landlords, take a little peek into the future of referencing, and then wrap it all up with your next steps. Right, first things first, let's get the fundamentals down. Before we get into all the drama of bad references, we need to be crystal clear on what a landlord reference actually is and, what are the ground rules here. A landlord reference is basically a report card on you as a tenant. A new landlord wants to know if you're a safe bet. Now, here's the first thing you absolutely need to know. A landlord isn't legally forced to give you one. But, of course, a flat-out no can look like a massive red flag, which puts tenants in a really tough spot. So what's fair game for them to talk about? Well, it's all about your behavior while you were living there. Were you on time with rent every month? Did you leave the place in good nick? Did you stick to the agreement? No secret pets or subletting on the side. Any big complaints from the neighbors can go in there too. And then, the killer question. Would they rent to you again? Now, this right here is where it gets really interesting, because there's a huge legal line drawn in the sand. A landlord can state cold, hard facts, like rent was paid late on 3 occasions. But what they can't do is start throwing around personal opinions like the tenant was a nightmare. One is provable, the other's just a feeling, and that feeling could land them in a world of trouble. This difference is everything. And that whole fact versus opinion thing leads us straight to the landlord side of the story. You see, giving a reference isn't as simple as just typing up an email. It's more like a legal tightrope walk. There are 3 massive traps they need to sidestep. The first and, honestly, the biggest risk is defamation. If a landlord writes something that's just plain untrue or even a massive exaggeration and it costs you that new flat, well, that's damaging your reputation. And yes, in serious cases, a tenant can absolutely take their old landlord to court over it. Risk number 2 is negligence, and this one is a bit of a two-way street. Let's say a landlord is desperate to get rid of a problem tenant, so they write this glowing reference just to move them on. If that tenant then causes thousands in damages at their new place, the new landlord can actually sue the old one for negligence because their dodgy reference caused a financial loss. And finally, the big one, data protection. A reference is full of your personal info. Thanks to GDPR rules here in the UK, a landlord cannot share that with anyone. Not a new landlord, not an agent, without your clear written permission. To do so is a huge breach of your privacy, and the fines can be pretty serious. Okay, so we've covered the risks for landlords. But what if you're the tenant on the receiving end of a reference you know is out of line? Well, you are not powerless here. Stay with me because these next steps are absolutely crucial for taking back control of the situation. Right, here's your action plan. Step 1, you need to see exactly what they said. Use your GDPR rights to request a copy. Step 2, get in touch with your old landlord. Keep it professional, okay? No angry emails. Just calmly point out the mistakes and ask for a rewrite. And here's the key part. Back it up with evidence. Bank statements that prove your rent was on time, pictures of the property when you left. If that doesn't work, you can take it higher, to a body like the property ombudsman. And for the really bad cases, it's probably time to talk to a solicitor. That's not all. Here's a pro tip on how you can really take control of the narrative. You can soften the blow of a bad reference. Offer a guarantor, maybe a parent or a close relative. Dig up some great references from previous landlords to show that this one was just a one-off. Or, just be honest with the new landlord. Explain what happened, give them some context, and maybe offer a bigger deposit to show you're serious. It can really go a long way. Okay, time to switch hats again. If you're a landlord, how on earth do you give an honest reference without getting yourself into a legal mess? Well, it all comes down to having a solid, repeatable system in place. So here's the most important point to remember. Facts, not feelings. A reference that's built on things you can prove is an ironclad, legally sound document. One based on your personal opinions, that's just a liability waiting to happen. This one principle is the best protection any landlord can have. So here's a quick checklist to keep you safe. Number 1, always, always get written consent before you share a thing. 2, stick to the facts and only the facts. 3, use a standard template. It keeps things consistent and stops you from going off-piste with personal opinions. 4, and this one's a biggie, document everything during the tenancy. You can't report facts you haven't recorded. 5, keep your language professional. And 6, if the tenancy ended badly, maybe with legal action, get professional advice before you write a single word.
Now, the rental market never stands still, does it? That old-fashioned reference letter is quickly being overtaken by new tech and new laws. So let's have a look at how the whole game is changing.
We're seeing this huge move towards online platforms that do instant, data-driven tenant checks. These services pull together credit scores, income verification, and rental history into one big report, sometimes in just a few hours. It's way faster, and in theory at least, it's a lot more objective.
And this chart here shows the new reality perfectly. That old-school landlord reference, it's becoming just a small piece of a much bigger, data-driven puzzle. As you can see, things like your credit history and your actual rent payment history now carry way more weight in these automated systems. So yeah, a bad reference stings, but a solid financial track record can often help balance it out.
And the law is pushing things in this direction too. The Tenant Fees Act in 2019 stopped landlords from charging for references, which was a big win for tenants. And as we head through 2025, the Renters Reform Bill is making those upfront checks more important than ever for landlords. I mean, think about it. If it becomes harder to evict a tenant, landlords are going to be extra careful about who they let in from the very start.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground. So let's just take a moment and boil all of this down to the most important takeaways for you and what you should do next.
So here's what you really need to remember. For tenants, you are not powerless. You have rights, you can see what's being said about you, and you can challenge it. For landlords, facts are your friend, and good record keeping is your legal shield. Stick to them, and you'll stay out of trouble. And for absolutely everyone, the world is becoming more data-driven, and your financial footprint is now one of your most important references.
And that leaves us with one final thought to ponder. In this new age of algorithms and instant credit scores, does that personal, human reference from a landlord even matter as much anymore? Or is it just becoming a bit of a relic from a bygone era? Something to think about.
Look, if you're a landlord trying to get your head around property tax or a tenant trying to figure out your financial rights, you really don't have to go it alone. For professional, expert help, get in touch with My Tax Accountant. All their details are right there on the screen. Give them a call on 0208-570-8531 or drop them an email at info@mytaxaccountant.co.uk.
And for more incredibly helpful discussions just like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button on the My Tax Accountant YouTube channel. Thanks so much for joining me.